It is indeed my honor to be here today sharing with you the Buddha's teaching on overcoming our difficult emotions. On a good Saturday afternoon like this, you could have gone partying, picnicking, or went somewhere, taking fun and relaxation. But instead, you have chosen to come here to learn and explore what meditation is all about and how it can help you to live a happier life. I appreciate your interest and your search for wisdom, prajna, and true well-being. Today's topic we're going to explore is how to overcome emotional challenges. This is a broad topic. It's really a challenge for me to talk about this topic within 3 hours. But let's try to do it. According to a recent survey, nearly 40% of Hong Kong students may be suffering from depression. You may well know about this. Last year in Hong Kong, in the last academic year, 22 students committed suicide, and 8 of whom were at university. This could just be a tip of the iceberg, as mental disorder really affect a lot of other people. And many more cases of mental disorder tragedies are not reported. So today, let's explore it from the perspective of a Buddhist monk, how to resolve the problem. But I'm a monk. Before I start, I have to go through a short time of gracious rituals. So some of you may be Buddhist or may not be. You can follow up, you can chant with me, or if you know it, we can do it together. Put your palms together for those who know how to chant. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam sacchami. Dudiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Dudiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Dudiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Tadiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Tadiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Tadiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. You may put your palms down. Yeah. So how to overcome emotional challenges? And I would like to delineate today's Dharma talk content. So what we'll be talking about, where do emotions come from? What is karma? What are emotions? Negative emotions lead to mental disorder. How do emotions arise? An overview of our mental experience with perspective of emotions. Now this is the theory part, to understand. So in order to solve the problems, we really have to know the causes of the problem. First, we have to understand the problems, and then we design methods to overcome the problems. And then what I'm trying to achieve next It's how to apply the Buddhist teaching to overcome emotional challenges. First, silent meditation. Silent meditation is the same as consciousness therapy. And then I'll be talking chanting meditation, which is a kind of sound therapy. And in order to really know what I'm talking about, we have to practice it right here and now. 15 minutes each, how to actually do it at home. And then lastly, how can family members and friends help people with mental disorders? And this is the practical part, how to practice it. So we have to put theory and practice together. The subject content, the material that I'm going to use, of course I'm a monk, is from the perspective of the Buddhist teaching. Most of it will be more or less related to Vijnana Matrata, which is the study of the mind or study of consciousness. In the 8 major schools in the Buddhist teaching, and one of the profound schools is the study of the mind, which in the Sanskrit language is Vijnapti Matrata, or in common English is mere consciousness, or the study of the mind. And then we also have to introduce a little bit of Zen in the Japanese language, Chan, Chanjong, and esoteric Buddhism. So we mix together not just the Buddhist teaching, we have to put some science in it. Neuroscience, vibrational medicine regarding sound therapy, and then we also have to introduce psychology into it. So it's a mixture of all the different knowledge put together. See how we can achieve all these within 3 hours. Lastly, we still have a Q&A session, probably for about half an hour. We see we don't need an overrun if we can do it within 3 hours. So without further ado, let's get into it. Where do emotions come from? Comes from karma. Now, when we're talking about karma, I would have to explain what karma is, the meaning of karma. What we need to know, we have present life karma and past life karma. For those who don't believe in the religion, in the Buddhist religion, probably you would say, what would science talk about past life? I don't believe in rebirth. So if we don't believe in rebirth, we talk about present life karma first. What is present life karma? There's 2 kinds of karma, those relating to the present life and those relating to the past life. Our mind craves and attaches to all externalities. When I say externalities, it's everything about the whole world, sound, matter, taste, touch, everything. All externalities, external to the mind. Our mind craves and attaches to all externalities. We have been creating karma in the process of satisfying our desires through our behavior, speech, and thought. And karma disrupts our inner peace, induces emotions and sufferings. How does this come about? Karma is like a train. It runs on the track of cause and effect. We usually say, to explain cause and effect in very simple terms, we say a thought would give rise to action or speeches, because it all originates from the mind, from the thought. When the thought comes up, when it materializes, it gives action and gives speech, and actions and speeches give rise to habits. If you're repeating your actions, repeating your speech, it becomes a habit. And habits will become personality. Personality, that's your destiny. It all is governed by karma. So we have to watch our thought. It all originates from a thought. So if you want to overcome emotions, you have to start from the thought. And regarding past life karma, present life karma is distinguished karma. Past life karma is innate. You're born with it. That's the reason why some Some geniuses were born with the talent of music, singing, you name it, because they remember. They don't have to learn. At the age of 9, he could be playing, Beethoven, he playing a lot of music. He didn't actually learn it in this life, but remember from past life. It's past life karma, brought and accumulated up to this life. And what happens if we have very inferential, innate karma? In order to change it, the Buddhist teaching told us to carry out repentance, performance of good deeds, purification by practices of the Buddhist teaching. If I have time, I would touch on past life karma. But I doubt if I have enough time to touch on that. But what we need to do today, we need to finish present life karma. What is karma? Karma is an accumulation of actions of the body, your behavior, speeches of the mouth, and thoughts of the mind. So there's action, speeches, and thoughts, all accumulated and carried forward. So every thought counts. Every thought will be a seed in the karma. If it is carried on to actions, it becomes behavior, it becomes speeches. Karma also refers to the natural law of cause and effect, where each thought, action, and speech of an individual, which is the cause, influences the future of the individual. So there are three kinds of karma. Wholesome karma, and some people call it positive. Unwholesome and neutral. That almost embraces all karmas. Wholesome karma will lead to wholesome effect, because the cause is wholesome. Unwholesome karma leads to unwholesome effect, and neutral karma leads to neutral effect. The suffering and happiness we experience are the results of our actions, speeches, and thoughts reacting on ourselves. It is important that we have to know what karma is all about, because that's the source of all mental afflictions. Our karmic energy has been accumulated from one life to the next as we continue to experience rebirth. The subject of rebirth need probably another semester to talk about, cause and effect, karma, reincarnations, and all that. We're not going to deal with it today because in a broad subject like emotions, we restrict ourselves to the 3 hours that we have. Where do emotions come from? In the Lotus Sutra, Padma Puntarika, Lotus Sutra, Sakyamuni Buddha said, the triple world of samsara are full of turmoil, like a burning house, replete with a multitude of sufferings. This world is a world of suffering. That's a fact. Of course, sometimes we have happiness, temporary happiness, but ultimately, we're experiencing sufferings. How many sufferings are there? What kinds of sufferings? Generally, we have 8. Suffering of birth and rebirth, suffering of aging, suffering of sickness, of death, of being departed from beloved ones. The mom passed away, dad passed away, grandmom, friends. When they passed away, you are grief-stricken. You really feel the suffering inside. Or, which is just the opposite, suffering arising from living with hated ones, despised ones, people you don't like. You live with your wife with husband, but because of the children, there's a bondage together, but you don't love each other anymore. But you don't want a divorce because you want to look after the children, but you're still living with people you don't like. You may not love your husband or your wife, but you still live together. That's a kind of suffering too. Suffering of not getting what one wants, insatiable desire. It doesn't matter how rich you are. You always want more. You may have all the riches in the world, you may not have health. You may have riches, you may have money, you may have health, but you may have a broken home. It's always something that you want and you cannot satisfy it. And in the process of satisfying your desire, you go through suffering. You're not happy. Some reporters interview some very famous celebrities and richest people in the world, and they always say, money is not happiness. You cannot get happiness from money. It's the peace of mind that you experience that gives you the happiness. Not fame, not reputation. We always have insatiable desire. Suffering from interaction of the five skandhas, that we really have to discuss what the five skandhas are. The five skandhas: matter, perception, conceptualization, volition, and consciousness. They're interacting with each other, giving rise to all kinds of sufferings. And more than these are just generalizations of suffering. We have external sufferings, catastrophes, tsunamis, wars, germicide, all kinds of sufferings that we haven't even counted in there. This is just a generalization of sufferings. Most mental disorders emanate from or are related to these sufferings. The magnitude of emotions varies from person to person because of differences in one's karma, physiological and psychological five skandhas interaction. So all emotions have two perspectives, generally. The psychological side, what you think, and the physiological side, what you feel, from two perspectives. What are the emotions? Unwholesome emotions and wholesome emotions. Greediness, anger, lust, desire, infatuation, rage, hostility, hate, resentment, dislike. As far as ignorance is concerned, depression, sadness, despair, anxiety, self-abasement, self-obsession, self-pity, panic, phobia. There's lots of phobia. If you check a list of phobias, more than 100. Insectophobia, people afraid of cockroaches, insects, and claustrophobia. They don't like limited space. And there's another phobia, chromatophobia, fear of money. They don't like to handle money. Are you fear of money, or you're allergic to money? Joy, wholesome functions, wholesome emotions. Joy, happiness, cheerfulness, jubilation, and love, caring, compassion. These are the classifications of emotions. Which one do you have, or which one you don't have? Negative emotions lead to mental disorders. Depression, anxiety, sadness, despair, rage, fear, suspiciousness, autism, and ADHD. What is ADHD? Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. A lot of children have that, ADHD. And more and more of this kind of sickness is quite rampant in some North American locations. Addiction, pride, arrogance, all these originate from ego proliferation, ego aggrandizement, because of the ego, it gives rise to all these kind of anxieties, mental disorders. And mental disorders adversely affect your health, family, jobs, studies, marriage, career, business, public relations. Simply put, they affect your whole life, our whole life. How do emotions arise? Vimalakriti Sutra says, what's the reason of sufferings and mental disorders? Because of craving and attachment. There's some Chinese translation in there. So for people who would like to refer to the Chinese version of the sutra. So craving and attachment. When we talk about craving and attachment, how do we crave? How do we attach? Our eyes, our ears, nose, tongue, body. These are the subjective, that's you, that's me, internalities. And then it interact with objective externalities. Matter, eyes interact with matter, ears with sound, nose with smell, tongue with taste, body with touch, and mind with dharmas. And how do they interact with each other? This is the course actually of the study of the mind. It's from Vijnaptimatrata, or the Yogacara school of Buddhism, where we go deeply into how the mind thinks, how the mind functions. So, sensory organs, we have sensory organs, go into the details of how do we actually perceive things. How do the eyes perceive? Ears, nose, tongue, body. Sensory organs, now remember right now we're dealing with only the theory. We have to know, it's like a Harvard case study. When you're given a problem, you really have to know the causes of the problem, find out the problem, causes of the problem, and then deal with it with methods. And finally the problem is solved. So you have to study why and how did it come about. Sensory organs interact with objects with attention, perception, and interaction. When we have this kind of interaction, habitually, what is arising? When your sensory organs are interacting with externalities or external objects, what happened to you? What happened to your mind? You have to know your own mind, though. People say, of course, this is my mind. I know my mind. I know everything about myself. I'm in control. This is my mind. But if you can control your mind, how come you get mad? How come you're jealous? How come you're arrogant? How come you're so greedy? It's out of control and we may not know our mind is out of control. So, when your sensory organs are actually interacting with external objects, with attention, what is arising? Consciousnesses. And in the Buddhist teaching of Yogacara, there are 8 consciousnesses, not just one. When we're talking about consciousness, it's not just one consciousness. There's 8 consciousnesses. This was the Buddhist teaching 2,600 years ago. The Buddha went deeply into the mind. So, for those who are not exposed to Buddhism, at this moment you should know that Buddhism is not about superstition, not about blind faith, not about burning an incense, not about just saying prayers. It's about knowing yourself, knowing your own mind, and how do you deal with the problems. Subjective consciousness come about when you have this kind of 3-circle interaction. So, when your sensory organs are interacting with objects, you have craving and attachment. And consciousnesses, of course, depend on the sensory organs. So, this is a general picture of how we perceive the world. Our sensory organs interact to objects. When we interact with objects, mental functions, concomitant mental functions come up. So we have all those 8 consciousnesses, like they're the kings, the 8 king consciousnesses. But they're also the ministers who help the king to perform. And how many ministers are there? 56 ministers. Out of the 56 ministers, we call them concomitant mental functions. There are 26 bad ones and 11 good ones. So there are 26 corrupted, unvirtuous ministers who help your consciousness to achieve what they want. And there are 11 good ministers helping you to achieve wholesome deeds. So there's a tug of war between good and bad in your mind. It's because of this consciousness that are arising, and also because of the concomitant mental functions helping at the same time, simultaneously, to give behavior, to give speeches, to give thoughts. But this is not enough. The Buddhist study of consciousness required a whole semester to go through. It's not just in an hour. We can all talk about Vajnanamatrata. So in order to know a little bit more detail about how we think, how do we interact with the outside world, we need to know about it in a little bit more detail. Mental experience. Up to this stage, I hope you're not sleeping. This is all academic, philosophical, psychological. We haven't gone into the practical part of it. We interact with externalities. What do we interact with? Objects, sound, smell, taste, and touch. Our 5 sensory organs are interacting. When we say interacting, it's not the same as responding. We usually differentiate between the two. Interacting is to interact with emotions, with concomitant mental functions that are biased. And responding is you're like distance yourself from these emotions and look at with reality. Look at it with no distortion. You know, everybody has an internal commentator in their mind. Whenever things come up, you always like to give comment on it. Everybody has that biased internal commentator because you're interacting. When you're commentating on a ball game, you give your own opinions. Everybody's opinion is not the same because everybody's internal commentator is different. Now, when our perception perceive externalities, what happened? Then eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose, tongue, body consciousness all come out. You have that kind of consciousness, those 5 consciousnesses. But these consciousnesses, they only perceive. They don't judge. They haven't gone to the commentator part. So in other words, if I can use a company to give an example, these are the front-end salesmen, sales lady. In a company, these are the front counters. They're interacting with the outside world. Everybody has these eyes, ears, nose. You're interacting like a salesman and sales lady. And then, behind the sales counter, there's the Mano manager. His name is Mano. Mano is actually a Sanskrit word for cognition, rationalization. There's always a manager sitting behind all these hundreds and thousands of salesmen, and that manager can pull out old files, make budgets, have memories, criticize, rationalize, intellectualize, analyze, decision-making, creativity, firing people, hiring people. He's responsible for the company. He's the manager. But the 5 sensory organs, they don't make decisions. They just perceive. Your eyes don't make decisions, you know. It's your cognition part that makes decisions. Your ears, the eardrums only listen. It's only a tool. They don't make decisions. It's the mano that makes the decision, the cognition part that makes the decision. But let's study the cognition part. The 6th consciousness. Various functions of the cognitive processes, including interpretation and intellectualization of the perception. The mano is responsible for making all these rationalizations. And sometimes mono-cognition don't need the salesman. It's just like sometimes we're not into our eyes may not be interacting with externalities, our ears, our nose. When we're sleeping or when I'm meditating, I'm thinking about the past. I hate my past. I have an abusive child past. I hate it. I don't like it. So you create past experiences and you put your past experiences on the table, ponder on it, and agonize by it. That's the reason why people get depression, because they brought whatever is past, already gone. They actualize it as an impression, put it in the mind and ponder on it, attach to it. They can't let go of it. An abusive childhood, I hate my husband, I hate my wife, and how come I have a bankruptcy? How come I have this kind of destiny? He always brought the past back onto the present and attached to it. Not only the past, he worries about the future. The future hasn't come, but he always worry about it and put the future onto the table, ponder on it, and agonize by it. That's how we habitually think in this way. All images of the past, present, and future, your cognition not only see the phenomena as the actual reality, but they also have imaginations. They also brought the past into the present, bring the future into the present, and ponder on it. That's the reason why they get angry, rage, jealousy, hatred, arrogance. Cognition, the manager. And then in the company, not only the manager, we have all the finance salesmen and the manager, we also have the board of directors. What do they care about? What did the board of directors care about? Profit. I only care about what I can achieve. Are you making money for me? How about my stock share? How was the price of the stock? I only care about how much money I make. The board of directors. That's your ego. You only benefit yourself. You only care about yourself. That's the ego attachment, the 7 consciousness in everybody. And we call it the manas, vijnana, in the Sanskrit language. The 6th consciousness is mano and manas. Manas is the 7 consciousness. That is the ego consciousness. Everybody has that ego, that self, I. Habitually, the I always exists from one birth to another. You personalize the foregoing consciousnesses with a self. You personalize everything you see, you hear, you touch, you feel. There's some more examples to come up, how our consciousnesses cannot let go of externalities. Personalization and arousal of emotions, and finally, store consciousness, which is the alaya consciousness. The alaya consciousness is a storage consciousness. So in other words, every thought that comes up in your mind, thought is energy, you know. Energy would never disintegrate. It will only change form. Once a thought arises, that thought gives rise to energy. And that energy in the Buddhist Sanskrit language is abhijja, a seat in there. And whatever action, speeches, and whatever you have done, all store into that computer. That computer can store billions and billions of memories. Everything gets stored. You think that in this life I have performed something wrong, and then you roll into the next life. You think all the karma is gone for this life. It will be accumulated and carried forward to the next life. It never gets disappeared. It's brought forward. It's a balance forward. When you're debiting credit, when they're not in balance, You always run into the general ledger to get into the next line. You always have to balance the debit and credit together for those who are accountants. You probably know about this. And whatever is out of balance, you always get into the next life. So that is the store consciousness. And store of the present and past karmic energy. And some people may ask, what happened if I died? What happened to my karma? So when I die, all my sense organs are gone. No more of this sense organ, no more eyes, nose, ears, no more body. The cognition is gone because the manager is fired. You don't need the manager anymore. All the salesmen are gone, the managers are gone. And how about the ego? The ego consciousness, the manas consciousness, shrink into the eighth consciousness, the alive consciousness. And that's the eighth consciousness that's reincarnating all the time. In other words, that eighth consciousness is responsible for the reincarnation. So when a person dies, can you see the eighth consciousness, the alive consciousness? You can't see it. It's invisible. It all shrinks into that invisibility, and it's the last to leave the body. So in other words, when a person dies, the breath goes. No more oxygen, and then one after the another, all these senses are gone, but finally, the alaya consciousness will be the last to leave the body. Where, from which locations your alaya consciousness leave the body? From 6 locations. When a person passes away, how do we know where is he going? Because we talk about the 6 paths of reincarnations. We have the 3 vicious realms and the 3 non-vicious realms, benevolent realms. The 3 vicious realms of infernal, animal realm, and what else? Ghost realms. And then you have the human realms, heavenly sentient beings realms, and asura realms. So when a person passes away, the alaya consciousness leaves the body. If it leaves the body through the top of the head, nirvana. If from the eyes, human realms. From here, from the eyes, it's not human realms, the heavenly sentient beings. From here is to the human realms. If the alaya consciousness leaves from the kneecaps, it will be the animals realm. From the bottom of the feet will be the infernal realms. So that store consciousness is responsible for the reincarnations after death. So these generally is the mental experiences, the 8 consciousness: eye consciousness, ears, nose, tongue, body, cognition, the mano consciousness, 7 and 8. These are the 8 consciousnesses that are always working in us. How do exactly emotions arise? Because we cannot let go. We always crave and attach. Our senses habitually attach to external objects, arousing wholesome and unwholesome emotions. Here are the examples. Our eyes attach to matter. Vision consciousness arises. For example, seeing a sensual object arising sensual desire and something sensually attractive, then you're attracted to it. So that desire comes up. Sound, ears listen to the sound. Being insulted, arousing anger. Being complimented, feeling delight, feeling euphoria. You are very happy about it because people praise you. That's from the sound. But the sound itself, if you don't attach to it, is not effective. It's not the sound itself, it's the mind that attaches, the mind that craves. So don't blame externalities. Don't blame your mom for scolding at you. Don't blame your boss for scolding at you. It's because you attached. Or because you probably have done something that you attach and your boss attached to. And the nose, resenting pungent odor, attaching to fragrant smell. Tongue attached to taste. That's the reason why we'll kill animals for food. Buddhists, they are vegetarian, but ordinarily just people are meat eating, they, because you like to taste. You like the taste of animal flesh. So humans habitually, they kill animals for food because of the attachment of tongue to taste. These are just examples. Body to touch, tactility, attaching to material luxuries arising habitual greediness. And mind, attaching to past memories arising resentment or regret. So these are how the emotions arise. Emotions come from the mind. That's the major topic that we must know. It's not from externality. It's not from external. It's from internal. You're attached to it. Don't blame externalities for any anger that comes up. Emotions do not come from externalities, matter, sound, smell, taste, and touch, but from one's mind, one's consciousness that craves and attached to externalities. Simply put, emotions arise because the mind cannot let go of craving and attachment. Given all that, I've been talking for an hour already. All the theories. Probably you already know about it. But let's talk about some practical stuff. Something that can help. We have finished the first part of it to understand emotions. What we need is we need to solve problems. How can meditation help? How can chanting help? How do we practice it? And how do family members, if they have family members who suffer from depression, what should their attitude be? How do they endure the depressions with the loved ones? And this is what we're going to deal with right now. Something more interesting than just theory. How do we do it? We don't need to go to the meditation room. We just do it here. First of all, let's talk about meditation is not just silent meditation. There's a sound meditation. Meditation, we have walking meditation, silent meditation, chanting meditation. And let's first of all talk about silent meditation, where you don't produce any sound, just sit there quietly. How do we do it? Silent meditation. Silent meditation is like a consciousness or mind therapy in modern terms. And meditation is in two parts. It's the concentration part and the contemplation part. Concentration is the focus because our thoughts have been desultory all the time, 24 hours, non-stop, think about many things. Concentration. We need the concentration. We're like a monkey. We have a monkey in mind going from one branch to another. How do we stop the monkey? Stay put. How do we stop the monkey in mind? The mind is always moving. And you don't even know why you're moving. So we'll take care of the concentration part, the focus part. And then next we'll take care of the contemplation part, which is the wisdom part. How to enhance your wisdom, to review your wisdom. How to be in search of that kind of wisdom. We call it vipassana meditation. In concentration, we call it the samatha meditation. And because when we are talking about meditation, there are more than a few methods. There's so many methods of meditation. The method that we're using now is anapanasati in the Sanskrit language. Anapanasati, in and out breath. And then for vipassana, we use satipatthana, the contemplation, the four contemplations. So let's deal with it now. Let's find a problem. How to solve the problem. We need the object of concentration. We need something to focus on in your meditation. Because our mind have been wandering all over the place. How do you get the monkey back? It's just like putting the monkey putting the neck of the monkey on the leash, the monkey has been going all over the place, doing all kinds of mischief, all kinds of bad deeds, and now you're slowly taking the leash and pull the monkey back. The monkey has been branching all out. So you need a leash, an object of concentration. That's the breath. Why are we using a breath and not a pool of water, a candle flame, or anything, any object? Why? The Buddha suggests to us to use the breath and not anything else. There must be a reason. Secondly, focus on the in and out breathing. Now that's about what we can do in this session. Concentration. And then we deal with the 4 foundations of mindfulness. We have insightful meditation on the body, on the feeling, on the mind, and the mind impressions in a very fast way. We're going to summarize it because it takes a lot of time to study Satipatthana for the 4 foundations of mindfulness. But for the sake of practicing in here, we need to simplify it. First of all, let's deal with concentration. When you're at home or anywhere, you go in a park or in a quiet place, how do you meditate? How do you, if you're not meditating, if you're not focusing on your breath, what are you thinking? You're thinking of yesterday's grief, yesterday's experiences you dislike, or yesterday's party, or you're thinking of the past, the present, and the future. Your thoughts have been all over the place. You absorb, you crave to externalities. Now, you want to pull that out and use this one single target. How many objects of concentration, attention you have normally? How many? Millions. I'm looking at you, you're my object. I'm looking at the lights. I have uncountable, immeasurable targets, objects of my attention. Now, I don't want all these. I want just one. I want to focus. I don't want to go all over the place. That's to train me if my mind goes wild, if I get addiction, if I'm addicted on drugs, if I'm angry, if I'm jealous, if I'm arrogant, if I'm fraudulent, if I do all kinds of things, how do I control it and say, no, stop, focus. I don't want to do all these things. I want to go back. I want to let go of all those. Well, in order to let go, you have to pull the monkey back first. Otherwise, you cannot let go. You have to stop your wandering mind here and now, not tomorrow. Not about yesterday, it's gone. You want to do it now, here. That's why we always say here and now. So, concentration. How do we do concentration? Contemplation, we'll talk about it later. Let's first of all do the concentration. How do we concentrate? Why do we need to concentrate on the breath? The breath is your present moment awareness. If you're talking about the present moment, what is the most present? The most present is your breath. Why do we use the breath? Your breath is the most present moment. It follows you wherever you go and as long as you live. Easy to remember and control. It is the most akin to you as a focus object. Because in the Chinese meditation, there's so many methods. There is the contemplation, the focus on a koan, on a sentence, or on a chanting, on the name of a Buddha. You can use so many other objects to concentrate on, but here we followed what the Buddha told us. We followed the breath. And why did the Buddha say the breath? Because the breath is the most akin to you. You can feel it right now. A candle flame, you need a candle. You need the flame. If the flame is blown out, then you can't need you don't have the flame anymore. But the breath, you always live with it. It's your present moment awareness. It's the breath. So don't change any others now. This is what the Buddha suggests. Use the breath. Because people have the habit of looking for, when they learn meditation, you know what they do? They get onto Google and buy all kinds of books, all kinds of videos, get all kinds of gurus. They have 30 gurus, 100 tapes, 100 books. They wind up nowhere. It's right here, now, your breath. That's the most akin to you. You feel it. Why don't you use it? It's not me who suggests this. It's the Buddha in Satipatthana and Anapanasati. So don't look anywhere for anything now. You have it. You already have it. Why do you have to look? Don't look for it. It's right in you, your breath. And then, why do I have to break the habitual perpetuation of attachment? Why do I have to let go? I don't want to let go. Why do I have to let go? The breath deals with the present. The past and the future must be handled by the letting go. You have to let go of your past agony. You have to let go of your past happiness even. You can attach to happiness. I'm not happy anymore. Yesterday I was happy. Now I'm not happy. I dislike that because I'm not happy anymore. How come you make me unhappy? So you have to let go of that. And letting go of it deal with the past and the future. Halt the habitual egoistic thinking pattern that is causing sufferings. So that's the focus, and let go of the desultory thought. Now, after this slides, we're going to do the actual practicing. Before, our eyes attached to the matter, our ears to sound, nose to smell, tongue to taste, body to touch, mind to thought, and the seven consciousness to self. Now, what do? No more matter. Our eyes, when you're meditating, you're closing your eyes, right? You don't see matter. So that's go. You don't see any matter. Don't open your eyes and look around and see lights and see everywhere. You're closing your eyes. Your sound, you have to let go of your sound. When the sound comes in, let it float out. It will come in. The coughing sound, any kind of sound outside, it will come into you. But at the same time, you let it go. Float it out. Your nose, the smell, the next guy sitting to you, him he was just jogging, he had a lot of sweat all over the place, and this pungent smell, you can't stand it. You have to let that go. So when I was in Vancouver, I always told the students saying that don't come for meditation when you just jog for an hour, because you've been sweating and you really stink. You're affecting your next door neighbor. And also get rid of your garbage. You know how I tell all my students in the meditation hall, when they come to the meditation hall, I said, visualize this. Let me give you a garbage bag. Your hands, receive my garbage bag. So everybody closing their eyes and their hands, put their hands out like this. I said, I'll give you a garbage bag. You just visualize a garbage bag. And then I said, dump all your mental garbage into that bag. About the past, about the future, you worry about the future, you agonize on the past, dump all that. Dump yesterday into the bag, dump tomorrow's worries into the bag, dump it, all the garbage in there. Your arrogance, your hatred, your jealousy, dump all that in your garbage bag. Is it okay? We said, oh, okay. Dump that bag. And tied it up and throw it out that door. So everybody was visualizing, yes, we're going to meditate, so we're going to put all our mental garbage into that bag and dump it out that door. And then one student said, I have a question. What question? When we have all these garbage bags at the front door, how do we deal with them? I said, don't worry about it. You'll pick it up when you leave. Finally, you will pick it up. Habitually, you will take it up when you leave. You can't get rid of your garbage. So this is how you let go. Let go of all your garbage in there. It stinks. So no more smell. How about tongue taste? You're not eating anything. You're not yearning for the flesh of animals, for food. Touch. That's the only thing left. Your touch, because you're feeling the air in and out. When you're meditating, you are as if you are a sesame seed. You're like a molecule, a little molecule where it sticks into the inside of your nose. Your little molecule stick inside your nose, and you feel the air in and out, in and out. It's that simple. It's not simple though, because after a few seconds, your thought goes away like a monkey. Then you have to pull back that monkey and say, okay, I gotta be in here. I can't go away. you go back to here. I don't know how long can you sustain that thought of being a molecule inside your nose, feeling the air in and out, in and out. That's the focus. So that's your only object. No more other objects. No matter, no sound, no smell, no taste, only the breath touch. How about a thought? What happened to your thought when you're meditating? You're feeling the air in and out, in and out. No inner commentator. When you're meditating, you say, this guy, or this lady meditating on my side, his perfume is terrible. I can't stand it. Her perfume is terrible. I can't stand it. So actually, you're commentating on the perfume. No more internal commentator. Stop your comments on anything. Break the habitual continuation of desultory thinking of the past and future. Attention on the present breath. Live your present moment here and now. And then as regard the self, let go only the in and out breath. Can you do that? If you can't do it, raise your hand. You cannot do it? Why? Why can't you do it? For those who cannot do it, it's so simple. You just have that breath, no more. Just this breath, in and out. That's your focus. You change all your millions of objects into just one breath. And you, at the same time, spontaneously, let go of all these disturbances of sound, smell, taste, and touch. Touch is okay, because touch on the breath. Touching the breath, touching the inside of your nose. Why don't we try it? That's how to train your focus. If you want to get rid of all this depression, anxiety, fear, worry, you got to control it. You don't let the thought to ponder and reponder and continuing the pattern. You have to stop it and put your attention on this breath. That is how you train yourself to stop the habitual pattern of sustaining to the depression, sustaining to this anxiety, sustaining to the unhappiness, hatred, rage. Stopped it by using another object. Turn to that object. And that's a neutral object. That's the breath. Can you do that? Can we try that out now? Let's try that out for 15 minutes. How? Don't sleep though. In a lot of cases, you just dozed away and you sleep. Then what kind of meditation is that? It's sleeping meditation. Some people said, I was tired yesterday, and anyway, I'm going to Reverend Cheng's lecture. It's good because he usually introduced some meditation. I can sleep during meditation. That's not the way. When you're sleeping, you're cheating yourself. And I don't want any snoring meditation. I don't want it to happen. No more snoring. Just meditate faithfully in and out. That works magic for you because you have been like a monkey. Now, you want to pull that monkey back on the leash. Don't pull too strong, though. He'll be dead. He'll be choked to death. Remember, there's a very important technique in this, which in some Chinese sutras always mention. When you use this as your object, don't do it too tight. In other words, some people, they meditate, I must use this as my object. I don't want mind to go away. Breath, in and out, in and out. You're so strong because your firmness is so strong that it's similar to what? Pulling your monkey and choke him to death. That monkey has to be pulled back gently with tender loving care and put the monkey right here. Don't choke him. So in other words, when you're, I'm concentrating on my breath, and now my thought goes away. Don't hate yourself. Don't add hatred onto the concentration. Don't say, how come I'm like this? I don't have value on myself for putting in this kind of concentration. Why come? How come? Don't be so strong in yourself. If your thought goes away, slowly pull it back and put it in here. It will go away again. Take it back, go away, take it back. If you train yourself in this way, as time goes on, that monkey would stay put. When you get angry, the monkey will stay put. When you get jealous, monkey will stay put. When you have anxiety, you will stop the anxiety because you know how to control your thought. That's the first step. If you can't even do that, how can you get rid of your depression, your mental afflictions, your mental proliferation? You can't get rid of it until you control your own mind. You are the master of your own mind, not God. You have that God in you to do what you want to do. Whatever the mind can conceive, the mind can do. The mind wants to change for the better. The mind wants to get rid of this anxiety. The mind has to gear towards one object and get rid of all these desultory thoughts. No more. It's a tug of war. You want to win it, but you don't want to choke it. And when it goes away, put it back. And last but not least, don't sleep. I've seen people sleeping. Okay, let's try for 15 minutes. Be a master of your own mind. If you can't even do that, how can you get rid of all the mental afflictions? Mental afflictions, mental disorder is so common. Everybody has it. No one is free from emotions. It's a matter of the magnitude of the problem. So you're not free. You are not free if you are completely liberated from your mental afflictions. You're enlightened. But we're not. We have to learn. We have to get to it. Get into the path of enlightenment. Take your first step. You can't be lazy. You can't say, oh, I want to sleep. Oh, I don't want to do that. But when you are suffering, you really suffer. And I've heard from some sources that mental disorder will be the next number 2 killer of health. Lots of people have mental disorders, mental afflictions. And when you know it, your family members, your friends, they may suffer from it. Just taking medication is not the best way to do. It's just you're putting weed killers to kill the weeds. But you also kill your plants. You kill other roots if you just use medication. You have to do it yourself. You have to make that first step to make it happen. Control your mind. Focus. Right now, let's focus on it. I can see that someone is sleeping. You know, how do I judge whether you're sleeping or not? Your head is like this. Those whose head are like this, they're not meditating. If you're meditating, you're not sleeping, your head should be like this and not like this. You're cheating yourself. Actually, you're not meditating. So, the first meditation technique that we use today is to break your habitual perpetuation of your mental affliction thought. So you have an anxiety coming up, you have rage coming up, arrogance, unhappy feelings. Don't continue with a second thought. Break it up with a focus. You require the training. It's not a one-time deal. It's a 100-time deal. When you get used to it, then you're the controller of your own mind because you can control your thought. When your monkey is gone, just put it back. Don't hate your monkey. You have to be compassionate to yourself. Don't hate yourself. How come I couldn't do it? How come I always have that desultory thought, it goes away? Be compassionate to yourself. Don't hate the monkey. Don't hate the fact that you can't do it now. You have to gradually build up that focus. That's number one. If you can't even do that, you really have to continue with the medication, and that's no good for you. I'm sure you can do it, because there's another side effect coming from it. If you can control your thought at that level, you can also induce your mind to do whatever you want to achieve. That's the reason why some positive thinkers said that whatever the mind can conceive, the mind can do. So if you train a teenager or school students to be a good meditator, he'll do good at school. So if you're a parent, if your parents training your teenagers at home, you really have to give him some time for meditation so that he can control his own thought, so that he can tell himself, I want to achieve that A in mathematics. I want to achieve that and that. Because he's actually auto-suggesting himself by controlling his thought. That's number one. Just now we heard some noises upstairs, moving tables around. There's like a distraction. You have to let that go. That's a sound that gets into your eardrums. You have to let that go. So at the same time when you are doing this focus, there will be disturbances, for sure. Those kind of disturbances, when they come, don't hate it. I hate that guy moving tables around here while I'm meditating. I got to report him. Don't put hatred on it. Just let it go. Let it float out. Don't add hatred on anything. And don't add hatred on your depression. How come I'm useless? How come I always have this feeling? I don't like myself. Be compassionate to yourself. Number one. Okay, let's go on to the next one. We still have some time left. Contemplation. In Vimalakirti Sutra, Vaimokit Manjushri Bodhisattva asks Vimalakirti Upasaka, how does one practice in order to get rid of mental afflictions? Vimalakirti answer, one must meditate with the right contemplation. Satipatthana. The right contemplation is satipatthana. What is satipatthana? Other than focus, we must have focus is to discontinue your erroneous thinking pattern. But contemplation is to give wisdom to it. It's two parts. One is the concentration. The other is the wisdom that you induce in your meditation. And let's go into that wisdom. How do we practice satipatthana? The right contemplation. So a thought of anxiety comes up. A thought of greediness comes up. A thought of laziness comes up. A thought of sensual desire comes up. A thought of addiction to alcohol comes up. It comes up in you. Next, be aware of the rising of that thought. Oh yeah, that depression comes up now. That anxiety comes up now. That greediness comes up now. That egoistic feeling comes up now. You have to be aware of it. Our problem is we're not even aware. We're not even aware that the problems are there. We just continue with it. You tell the gambler not to gamble. He's aware that gambling is not that good. It's not good. But he continue and continue because he's not aware. So you must be, the first step in satipatthana is you must know that thought comes up. The third, watch the thought with the four contemplations. What are the four contemplations? We'll deal with them. You must, okay, that thought comes up. You are aware of it now. You must use something, some insightful contemplation to dissolve that thought. And then finally, let go of that thought. Then you will let go of that thought. You have to go through some rationalization in order to let it go. But how do we get into the details of it? What is this four contemplations? What are these four contemplations? How do we dissolve this thought? A thought comes up, arises in the mind. Immediately, you are aware of the rising of such thought. You distance yourself from it. Don't follow the thought. Whisper to yourself, this is a thought of anxiety that is coming up now. I must not follow it. I'll let it go. I'll let it go. It's a thought of greediness. It's a thought of addiction. It's a thought that's egoistic. I must let go of that thought. It's a thought of attachment. So distance yourself from it. You are aware of it. Third, watch the thought with the four contemplations. What are the four contemplations? Number one, now this thought makes me feel uncomfortable. My heartbeat is faster. My respiration is faster. I feel my hormones is working. My hatred is working in me. I dislike it. I hate it. I feel depressive. I feel angry. I'll let go of it. Take a deep breath and relax myself. Because that psychological feeling affects you physiologically. And when an emotion comes up, it's not just the psychological part of it. It's not just the thinking. It's also the feeling. Because when a thought of anxiety comes up, the brain actually is in three parts. Your limbic system, which is your emotional brain, and then your cerebral cortex, which is your learning brain, your rational brain, and there's also the spinal cord and the spinal stem, which is your survival brain. When anxiety comes up, when emotion comes up, it strikes your limbic system, which sends messages to the amygdala. Amygdalas are the two lobes inside your brain, which send messages to say, I'm not happy. I hate that guy. I dislike my dad. I hate my mom. I don't like my friends. How come I have no value? That would send messages to your amygdala, and the amygdala would, at the same time, if it's not being controlled by your hippocampus in your brain, it would secrete hormones of anger, hormones of anxiety, and it will go through all your body. So in other words, you don't think that it's just a psychological problem. It's a physiological problem. Your respiration increase, your heartbeat increase, it affects your body. So immediately take a deep breath and say, I'll let it go. I'm not going to think about it. Or you can get back to your inner anapanasati. That's your focus. Get back to that one. Watch the thought. Number one, with the four contemplation. That's the number one step. Number two, the thought of anxiety is just a thought. It's just a feeling of anxiety that has no substance in itself. I must let it go. It's not me. The thought is not me. How come I identify myself with the thought? It's not me. I must let it go. My feeling of suffering is unpleasurable. I don't like the feeling. It's not happiness. I dislike the feeling, but that's just a feeling. That feeling is not me. I just identify myself with that feeling. Third, this thought is only temporary and not everlasting. It would not last all the time. 是无常的。这个是十念处，观身不净，观受是苦，观心无常，观法无我。This thought is only temporary and not lasting. How come I thought it would be lasting? How come I thought that it would be hurting me? It's going to go anyway. Number four, this thought is certainly not me. I'm not the thought. Neither am I the feeling. I'm not the feeling, I'm not the thought. But why do I have to identify myself with that feeling? Isn't that stupid? I'm stupid to identify myself with this anxiety. So I have to watch it with the four contemplations. It takes training. This part is for those that when you're sitting in meditation, you're using your breath in and out, you're doing your focus all right, and then all these disturbances have flowed out. But all of a sudden, I remember my company is going through a lot of troubles, and I may lose my job. And, oh, gee, I have a lot of worries. What happened? my colleagues are slapping my back, and tomorrow when I go back there, I don't like it. And here, my wife, I don't know, I'm suspicious of my wife. He's not doing well, you know. All kinds of this thought. You have to use that. This thought is not lasting. This thought is not me. This thought is a thought of suspicions. I must let it go. It's not easy. It's difficult. But if you keep on training yourself like that, you'll detach yourself from it. So, right now, as far as meditation is concerned, we have two parts. One is the samatha, which is the focus. The other part is the vipassana, which is to analyze your problem, analyze the thought that you're involved with. If there's the thought of bankruptcy then you have to deal with, you deal with it. If there is a problem, you just deal with it, but don't identify your feeling with the problem. That problem comes up because you make a mistake. So you make a mistake, you try to correct the mistakes. Mistakes can be corrected. You live at the present moment. At the present moment, here and now, you're happy. You don't be disturbed by all these externalities that are going to affect you. That takes training. So there's both part, the concentration and the contemplation. You must be able to practice it. Nothing comes easy. You thought you come to a session like this and you solve your emotional problem? Not that easy. You are the master of your own fate, not medicine. You can do it. Do you go through a training? Do you have the patience? Are you persistent? So that's the meditation part. I only have about an hour to go. But let's go into another part. That's to deal with the sound. That's silent meditation we're talking about. You can do it at home. You can do it in a park. Some people, in Hong Kong, it's so cramped. You know, we don't have big houses for a lot of people. You can do it in the morning. If you are just in the room, just get on your bed and practice that anapanasati in and out breath and distance yourself from it and do the meditation at home. You have to train. You need the training, not just talking about it. It's easy to talk about theories if you don't practice it. What's the point of the theory? And if you can pick that up and get used to it, you can help your friends. You can, not only in the anxiety, if you are in the control of your own mind, whatever your mind can conceive, the mind can do, you can apply that to whatever you do. Your mind is strong enough that you can change it. You are what your mind is all about, not about externalities. Next, let's explore another area, sound therapy. People think about Buddhism as something like that. Oh, how come you're chanting the name of a Buddha? How come you're chanting a mantra? You mean that deity is going to protect you? I don't see that deity. I don't see a God in there, so how come you're superstitious? Let's analyze by mixing science and divinity and spirituality together and see how they can tie to each other. How can they synchronize with each other? What is sound therapy? For thousands of years, sound has been successfully used by man as powerful healing mechanism. Sound as a mystic, the mystery of sound. Many researchers have proven that the healing properties of sound, including ultrasound and consciousness altering audible sound, can work gradually and gently to return to the body's own vibrations to their natural states. For example, the highly focused and fast vibrations used in ultrasound is now being used in hospitals to break up kidney stones. You know how powerful sound is? If you can focus sound, conjure up its frequency, you don't have to operate on the body. You just use the highly focused sound to break kidney stones. The power of sound it's incredible, it's inconceivable. sound. It's a mystery. It's a mystic. Sound vibrations can lower heart rate variability, relax brain wave patterns, and reduce respiration rates, respiratory rates. That's the reason why people listen to music. Some music is soothing. Some music can heal. Gregorian church music, they have the same effect. Don't be biased. Only Buddhist mantras have effect. All this music that is designed to soothe to synchronize your left and right cerebral cortex would work. Using the human voice that resonates to stimulate healing, sound therapy is one of the growing number of subtle energy therapies that make up the field of vibrational medicine. Right now, vibrational medicine is so prevalent in North America. They use the vibration as kind of medicine to solve problems in clinics. So that's sound therapy. And it's a science. It's proven. And how do we tie this science to actual divinity? Certain sounds help to synchronize our fluctuating brain waves by providing a stable frequency which the brain waves can attune to. By using a repetition of rhythm and frequency, we can harmonize our brain waves. From a regular waking mind is in a beta state, to a relaxed mode of alpha state. That's the state of the brain waves. We have a beta, alpha, and then we go a higher level, the meditative state, which is the theta state, and then to a deep meditating state, we call it the delta stage. So it's all in stages. Your brain waves is in stages. And then in sound therapy, it is the frequency of the vibration that is being applied in the healing process. In sound therapy, they apply the frequency of the vibration. It's just like in ultrasound, they focus the vibrations and break the kidney stones. But in meditation therapy, it's even more inconceivable. Sound is still a matter. Consciousness is beyond matter. Can you see consciousness? We can't see consciousness. Consciousness pertains to meditation, to the mind therapy, and sound is the frequency of vibrations. That's the reason why we're chanting mantra. We're chanting the name of a Buddha. We're chanting Om Mani Padme Hum. We're chanting all kinds of mantras. That is sound therapy. Don't look at it with superstition. It's a synchronization of the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere of the brain, of the prefrontal lobes, of the cerebral cortex that you have. It's all about neuroscience. Nothing to do with just God or deity or Buddha. So we already have explored into the transformation of consciousness. In the Vijnanamatrata or in the Yogacara approach of Buddhism or the study of the mind, the ultimate objective of studying Vijnanamatrata or consciousness only is to transform tainted consciousness into pure wisdom. That's a higher level process, to transform even the consciousness into purity. Sound is to resolve the matter that we have. That's enough. That's enough for dealing with anxiety. So let's explore some more. Scientists have discovered that certain brain waves, frequencies, may relieve stress and anxiety, facilitate a deep physical relaxation and mental clarity, increase verbal ability, and also the performance of IQ, EQ, and better synchronize the two hemispheres of the brain, helps creative thinking, reduce pain, promote euphoria as a result of stimulating the release of endorphins. Endorphins is kind of hormones that gives you the euphoria, the happiness, and relieve pain. It's a good hormone. But sound can do that. And I would like to introduce you to North American studies by Jonathan Goleman. You can research that into Google or get into the internet, look at healing sounds. At the beginning of the session, I said already, this session is going to be a mixture of spirituality, science, neuroscience, psychology, vibrational medicine, not just about Buddha, not just about chanting a mantra or prostrating, not about that. We are trying to tie the two together so that you know and I know that it's all rational. You can follow a thinking pattern on it. Jonathan Goleman, Healing Sounds, very, very prolific writer and researchers on healing sounds. Okay, then let's get into something divinity, spiritual. From what we know about sound therapy, then we know, why the monks are chanting mantra. You know why the monks are chanting a sutra. It's a kind of sound therapy. It's a very effective sound therapy to mental afflictions. For those who are Buddhists, now you know that you've been doing the right thing. You are going through every day when you're chanting Namo Guan Pusa, Namo Amitava, Om Mani Padme Hum, you are actually doing sound therapy, synchronizing your left hemisphere with the right hemisphere. So don't do it just for 5 minutes. So I asked some of my laymen and say, oh, you want to request something, you're not in good health, and what are you doing? I am invoking Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva Guan Pusa to help me. And I said, how much are you chanting? I'm chanting 3 times Om Mani Padme Hum. 3 times Om Mani Padme Hum for 1 minute, not more than 1 minute, and you invoke the Bodhisattva to help you, just using half a minute, you can do it. Not even half an hour. I'll tell you later in my slides that there are certain techniques that you must apply in order to make your chanting effective. Now from sound therapy, we know that chanting mantra is extremely effective. Plus, if you're using not consciousness altering sound, if you're using machine sound or medical vibrational sound, it's not human sound. You're not relying on a deity's energy. Whereas if you are chanting a mantra, at the same time you're connecting your personal energetic frequency with those of the divinity at a higher level. In other words, you are getting that channel, universal channels right there. You're connecting your energy to the Bodhisattva's energy. He's going to flow the energy to you. So other than the sound therapy that you're experiencing now, you're actually depending on a higher level existence to give you the help. It's more than just created sound therapy. It's a self-created, spiritual, divine, higher level energy that you are invoking. It has multiple effects in it. So you should chant every day. So don't do it for 5 minutes. I'm very disappointed. 1 hour. You have 1 hour to spend in your walk chaps and whatever you have, and you don't have 1 hour for the chanting. Well, when you are taking dating, everybody is doing this. You know what they're doing? They're talking nonsense. They spend hours and hours on this little machine. They don't have time for chanting. Poor. They're distributing some papers for Q&A, and you can write your question in English, then I'll answer in English. You can write your question in Chinese, then I'll answer in Chinese. You just write down whether you want 广东话 or 普通话。如果是你要普通话回答你的问题，因为有普通话的人嘛，你就想我要普通话回答我的问题，我就用普通话回答你的问题了。So you can write your question in English, or you can write your question in Chinese, and you can also write your question in French, but I can't help you. I can't help you with that. Sorry. Next, self-created sounds such as chanting a mantra or a sutra will cause the left and the right hemispheres of the brain to synchronize. What is the left hemisphere of the brain? The right hemisphere of the brain. Everybody has that. What are the functions? What is the functions of left hemisphere? Your left hemisphere, which is here, is the ego center, including all learning, logical reasoning, analysis, language center to describe, define, categorize, communicate, emotions, anxiety, fear, and so everything is in here, in your left hemisphere. The right hemisphere is the spiritual center, abundant with divinity, empathic, blissful, peaceful tranquility, inward contemplation, and free of attachment, no self. Which one are you tapping into every day? Every day we're tapping in here, not in here. Because of our karmic energy that pull us to the left side. Recitation of sacred mantras, sutras, actually causes the right hemisphere, which is the spiritual side of the brain, in effect the body and mind, to become attuned with divine energy. When one chants a mantra or for an extended period of time, one's vibration of sound frequency can invoke higher energies of bodhisattvas, becoming one and united with the energies. So in more than just creating energy, a self-creating energy, actually you are tying your frequencies with a universal channel. It's just like when you're using your cell phone. There's a certain frequency you tie with certain stations. When you tune your radio station, 1470, 1330, they have a frequency in which you tune it to. Once you're tuned to that level, you get all the messages, you get all the energy from the Bodhisattva. Do you want to tune it? Or you just don't care, you just desultorily just tune anywhere you don't even care where that universal station is. It's right there. The Buddha is right there. The Bodhisattva is right there. The deity is right there. He's waiting to help you, but you must know his phone number. His phone number is the frequency. You got to connect the frequency. And what is that phone number? The name. But you have to explain to your youngsters that chanting a mantra is not superstitious. It's about science. It's about vibrational medicine. It's about sound therapy. It can increase your confidence. If you don't have confidence, you increase your confidence by chanting. I'm going to give you a story. Have you read this book? My Stroke of Insight by Jill Taylor. She is a neuroscientist. She's teaching in Harvard, teaching all the doctors neuroanatomy, an expert in the field. She knows everything about the anatomy of brain. What happened to her? One morning, she had a hemorrhage, a rupture on the left brain. It's broken. He had a stroke. She had a stroke. She couldn't talk, she couldn't write, she couldn't even move. She became a vegetation. But the good thing about being a neuroscientist is she knew everything about the right side of the brain. Where the messages are, where the stations are. She didn't give up. In her mind, she said, I don't want to be fearful. I don't want to give up. I want to use the right side of my hemisphere to nurture my left side. I know everything about here. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to have a lot of confidence. I will do it. I'll recover. She was using her right hemisphere to nurture the left one. And after 8 years of struggle, she recovered 98%. And here's the story. And here's the book that I want to introduce to you. Some people may have read it already. It's a true story about details of how you use your vision, your willpower, what you know about the right brain, to nurture the left one. On the morning of 1996, Jill Taylor, a young Harvard-trained brain scientist, experienced a massive stroke when the blood vessels exploded in the left side of her brain. A neuroanatomist by profession, she observed her own mind completely deteriorated to the point she lost the ability to walk, talk, read, write, recall any of her life. She became a vegetation, simply put. So, as the damaged left side of her brain, which is the rational, logical, detailed, time-oriented, swung out of function, Taylor alternated between two distinct and opposite realities. The euphoric nirvana of the intuitive and emotional right brain. So the right brain is about nirvana, about enlightenment, about meditation, about focus, about no self, no ego. She's using that. And she became successful. She was able to recover. She later gained full recovery through the intimate experience of awakening her own injured left brain through the function of the right brain. The journey of recovery took 8 years for Jill to feel completely healed. Taylor completely repaired her brain. So it's very important that when you're dealing with your anxiety, you know that this is responsible for your anxiety. That's your amygdala. That's the messages you receive when you got the emotions, not here. So how do we do it then? Why do we bring all this? Let's take a look at some of the neuroscience. What happened to your brain? We have to remember that the left side of the brain, which is here, logical, time includes now, past, and future, all kinds of attachment, language center, the describe, define, categorize, and communicate, ego center. That is your ego center. Analytical, outward contemplation and attachment. That's the problem area. That's the karmic area, which brings all the karma accumulated, and it's all stored in here. The right side, divinity, timeless only with the moment of now. That's the reason why when some of the meditators, experienced meditators said, we meditate here and now. We meditate anapanasati, in and out breath, here and now. What is here now? We tap into the right side of the brain, not into the left side. Not about internal commentator and everything. Not about bias, not about ego. And then, going a little deeper into what we're talking about, sound therapy. What's the power of mantra chanting? How do we use mantra chanting to heal anxiety, to heal emotions? How do we use mantra power to make you successful in what you're doing, to give you more confidence? Here's what we should do. During chanting, our physiological changes are occurring. When you are doing the chanting, your endorphins is producing more. Your hormones work. Your physiological changes come about. You feel happy. You feel inner peace. You feel you're in prayers. Because you tap into the right hemisphere of the cerebral cortex, which is the spirituality. The effectiveness of the power of chanting depends on a number of things. Your focus, your intention, your repetition, vocalization, and your visualization. Visualization, you may or may not use it. If you can use it, it will be better. Even if you don't use visualization, it will still work. But if you can visualize, it will be much better. So what do? Focus plus intention plus repetition plus vocalization plus visualization will give you the most effectiveness. What do we mean by intention? Because when you are chanting, you have a wish that you want to come true. Right now, I'm not healthy. I wish to chant that Bodhisattva will bestow on me good health. You have an intention. You can't achieve without any intention, can you? You just chant and you do any intention, so what are you achieving? You don't even have a destination. You don't even have an objective. You have to set your objective in mind. I want to change my anxiety. I don't want any more depression. I want to be successful. I want to do good at university. I want to do my job so that I'll be as productive as possible. You can be whatever you want to be. It's in you, not in God. You have that God in you. You don't have to look for it. The God is never outside. The God is right here, in here, right here and now. Don't look for it. There was a story I got from one of those sutresses. There was a nun in the Tang Dynasty, and she spent 20 years with her master, learning meditation. And she felt that her master's meditation techniques are not effective, and she thought, I had to go somewhere else. So she bid farewell to the old master, as she wanted to travel to all different temples and want to learn meditation, because you always think that something remote is always better. So he traveled out of the place to look for techniques of meditation, and after traveling for 25 years, she thought that, oh, this is time to go home. I learned something, but let me go home to visit my old master. So she would return home, and as she was walking under a whole avenues of cherry trees, she sniffed in the fragrance of the cherry trees. And all of a sudden, she got enlightenment. And she uttered a poem. The poem says something like this, because in my internal translation, I have to say in Chinese first. 到處尋春不見春. I am looking for spring everywhere. I can't find it. I'm translating it to you right now. So the Chinese is 到處尋春不見春. I'm looking for spring, and I couldn't find it. 望鞋踏破嶺頭雲. I have traveled so much that I wore out a few pairs of my shoes already. 歸來偶過梅花下. When I returned to my own home, my temple home, my home temple, 春在枝頭已十分. The spring has always been at home. I didn't have to look for anywhere. Spring is always at home. Why do I have to look for spring outside? It's right in me. To get an enlightenment. Don't look for anywhere. Right in you. If you practice what you've got today, which I regurgitated from what I know about the Buddhist teaching, it's enough for you to work through your whole lifetime. Depends on how you practiced it. You can watch 100 videos, 600 books, and go from one temple to another, from one meditation hall to another. Spring is right in your heart. Don't look for it. Repetition is very important. Always have to repeat. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. The power comes from repetition. The sound power comes from repetition. Just 3 times? No. Not enough. 1,000 times until it becomes strong. So you need to repeat and repeat and repeat. And then you say, I don't have enough time. No, it does not matter. When you're taking the station, when you are, subway station, you always, instead of looking at the WhatsApp and doing all these devices and checking all this, why don't you just close your eyes and say, Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme. You still can do it. You can do it when you are walking, when you're working. You always keep that mantra in your mind, working inside of you. Vocalization. Of course, when you're in the subway, you don't vocalize it. Otherwise, the guys say, what are you doing? Are you out of your mind? What are you doing? So when you are all by yourself, you need to vocalize it. You need to say it out. Don't just whisper. Just say it out so that you can listen to it. You can listen back to your eardrums. Visualization, if you can visualize the deity or the bodhisattva, visualize the image so that your visualization will help you in your focus, in your intention, in your repetition. That would really work. That's the power of sound therapy. But in the ancient days, when they wrote, when sutras were translated, they didn't mention that word sound therapy, but that's in it. Chanting is sound therapy. So when your chanting has become a habit with the persistent firmness of intent, the effect will come to you. You don't have to look for it. So, given all that information, can you chant for 10 minutes? Do you have that piece of paper in front of you? Okay, let's chant the Peacock King mantra. It's a very energetic mantra, and this is the gesticulation, the mudra for it, like a peacock king mantra. And then when you chant, Om Mayura Grante Swaha. When you're chanting in it, you focused on it, you focus on the power of it, you focus on the intention, you're repeating it all the time, you vocalized it. It's important that you vocalized it. Don't whisper. Can you say that out? Om Mayura Grante Swaha. Of course, there's meaning in it. In a session like this, I can't explain everything. Actually, I should have explained to you the benefits of it and how do you chant it, how you do a gesticulation. Why do we do the gesticulation? That represents, because karma is produced out of body action. You need to purify your body action. This is a symbolizing that right now I'm not doing any killing, lying, I'm not doing any misbehavior. I am concentrating on this good behavior, and I symbolize it by gesticulation. So that's the behavior part of the purity. And then the sound part of the purity is in the mantra itself. And then the thought is visualizing, thinking about the repetition, thinking about the focus, and thinking about the visualization of the image. So that's what you're doing right here. And let's do it now. Okay, now I'll start and say it out loud, and you can close your eyes, focused on it, and chant it out in harmony. Om Mayura Grande Swaha. 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 Om Mayura Grande Om Mayura Grande Swaha. 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 Om Mayura Karante 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 Om Mayura Karante Swaha. 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 Om Mayura Karante Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Om Mayura Karante Swaha. 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 Om Mayura Karante Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura Karante Swaha. Om Mayura
De Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Om Mayura Karande Swaha 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 Om Mayura Karande Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura De Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha Om Mayura Karande Swaha. You may put your hands down. The next one that we would like to try it out is the 6 syllables mantra. The Om Mani Padme Hum is a very common, prevalent mantra, especially in Tibet. Chanting the mantra invokes the powerful benevolent attention and blessings of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, Guan菩薩. Guan菩薩嘅心咒. Om Mani Padme Hum. So what's the meaning of Om? Om is the origin of all sounds and the origin of all benevolent deeds. That's Om. Om, Ah, Hum are the very basic sounds of the universe. Om is a very mystical, divine, spiritual sound. So Om. Mani means the most precious jewel, diamond, symbolizing our Buddha nature. So we have that Buddha nature in us, which is the most precious that we have to reveal, unravel. So we have to find that inside. So that's Mani. Mani means the most precious jewel, which means the Buddha nature in us. Padme means lotus. Lotus grown from the mud. Mud is dirty mud, but the lotus itself is so pure, it springs out from the mud. So we have to learn to be like a lotus. But if you learn to be like a lotus, you must be able to purify all your senses, to purify all your 8 consciousnesses. Your eyes, your ears, your nose, your body, your manu consciousness, your manas consciousness, and your alaya consciousness. You have to purify your consciousnesses. Of course, in the transformation of all the tainted consciousnesses into pure wisdom, you have to go through certain procedures, and that's the topic of Vijnana Matrata, which not a lot in school. That we're not going to cover here today. It's profound, and it takes a lot of time to explain that. Home, every time when a mantra is chanted, a seed, a bodhi seed is planted in your life consciousness. So every time you Om Mani Padme Hum, that seed is planted in you. It will never go away. It's always in there. It's just like when you key into a computer. That is always in your memory. It's always stay there. So the more you chant, the more power it comes. So next, we're going to chant this Om Mani Padme Hum. All right? Okay, let's chant this. You have to vocalize it. And this is your mudra, your gesticulations. Like as if you're holding a lotus. And that's Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Padme Hum. Om Mani 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 Padme Hum. The third mantra that we want to try it out, actually not just chanting a mantra, chanting a sutra will have the same effect. So when you are chanting a sutra has all the explanations in it. The effect of chanting or reciting a sutra is the same as chanting a mantra. It depends on the consciousness at the time of chanting. So the next one we would like to try it out is Medicine Buddha by Sajya Guru. Now it's Om by Sajya Samagati Swaha. So it's Pisasa Samagati Swaha. 汉文就是这样诵的。Om by Sajya Samagati Swaha. By Sajya is medicine. Medicine to heal. That's the right path. Swaha, that means accomplishments of all benevolent deeds. So, Om by Sajya, Zamagade Swaha. The Medicine Buddha's mantra is renowned for healing. However, moreover, it empowers us to neutralize past bad karma, bring good fortune to those in need, and follow the path to enlightenment. So, this is the last mantra for tonight. It's going to be 5 o'clock. So I said tonight before we depart. We still have to answer this Q&A questions. Okay. Om by Sajya Samagati Swaha. 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 The last item on the agenda is, if you have family members and friends who suffer from depression, how should you help? How do you help them? Here's a poem. Do you really know what I need right now? I am a patient of anxiety, a patient of depression. What I want is your support and kindness. Please don't laugh or frown at me when I cry. Please don't tell me what I ought to do. I have already known the reasons of emotions. Just sit quietly by my side and do it with me. Don't blame me. Don't frown at me. Live with me. I know all the reasons. I can get into Google to get all the theories, reasoning of depression. But I need your support. So what do? To help those who get through depression, you must give them what they truly need, not didactic lessons on what they ought to think or feel. but learning to accept and care for them as they are in the present moment. Today, you learn all these techniques. Can you brush them up and tell them to do this? Focus. Break the habitual pattern of thought, of depression. Break it by using concentration, this focus, in and out, anapanasati. Research into anapanasati. How do you use this focus to break the habitual pattern of thinking, of depression, anxiety, ADHD, phobia, fear? Break it. And then add in the wisdom. When you're meditating, think about emptiness. Think about no self. Think about this thought is not me. Why do I have to identify myself with me? This is temporary. This is not forever. Why do I have to agonize on it? Why do I attach to it? Put wisdom into it. Analyze it. And then use sound therapy. Chant a mantra. Chant a sutra. Invoke help from others. That works scientifically and spiritually. So why can't we, more than just living with them, listening to them, don't blame them, we'll help them out by introducing all these techniques. Develop the powers of patient listening, understanding, and compassion to provide healing to their mind and let the teachings of the Dharma shine through into their soul. The Buddha's teaching. Nothing about superstition. Nothing about blind faith. It's about healing. It's about compassion. It's about giving. Not about worshiping. It's about understanding your mind, knowing that of the others, those of the others, and synchronize both. Synchronize both your right hemisphere with the left hemisphere, your spiritual side with the rational side. Harmonize it, tapping into it. That resource is unlimited. Explore it. Going through that enlightenment odyssey to find out the truth. Don't bias yourself with the intuitive superstition idea. It's scientific. It's neuroscience. It's psychology. I still got this whole bunch of questions that I have to answer. I'm getting old. I can't read like that, so I have to take my glasses off. So do you believe that it is possible for every person who seeks enlightenment to achieve it, regardless of their past misdeeds? I believe it. Buddha accomplished it 2,600 years ago. He got nirvana. He got enlightenment. He got full enlightenment. How come you cannot? But remember, you have past karmic energy that you have to eradicate. You really have to put in a lot of work to erase the old dirts from the clothes. You have to bleach it. You have to spend a lot of time on it, but it's possible. The next question. If you're successful in eliminating most negative thoughts, eliminating anxiety through meditation, will this not dilute or reduce the effectiveness of our efforts to solve the problem associated with the negative thoughts? Well, on the one hand, you say that eliminating negative thoughts, you want to do that. On the other hand, is diluting your effectiveness of your efforts. I don't think it works hand in hand. It won't contradict each other. You want to eliminate negative thoughts, but you want to put in your efforts. It equally works out. I don't know why you differentiate that. How should one handle lies from others? If it is your lie, not just a thought, it depends on what kind of lie. If that lie induces harm on others, you can't just keep silence. So it depends on what situations and how serious the lie is. Sometimes it's a white lie, sometimes it's just a lie for convenience. So it depends on what kind of lie. Next question. Does one need to chant aloud? Yes, vocalization. Why do you have to chant aloud? Because you listen back, it gets back to yourself. It hits your mind with the vocalization. So you need to vocalize it. Can singing bowls, hitting the gong, is a sound therapy? It is a sound therapy. But it is not consciousness altering audible sound. In other words, it's not self-induced. It's from a gong. It's from a machine. If it is from a machine, it's proven by science that certain machine, certain vibrating fork, certain bowl would send out vibrations which would be effective. But that is not self-induced. That's not from consciousness. That's a sound that is outside of the consciousness. If you use your own consciousness to induce it, it's finer. The level is higher because it's your own mind. You use your own mind to produce that kind of sound, not just the external sound, not just a fork, not just any kind of sound that is outside. How do you get the courage to stay calm and focused during long, difficult situations that do not have simple solutions? Are you talking about this boring session in here? So how can I focus when you're talking about nonsense? I'm sleeping. Is that what you mean? Well, to stay calm and focused during long, difficult situations, patience. Build up your patience, tolerations. Build up your patience. You can't get agitated. Remember, when you get agitated, which part of the brain is working? Your left side of the brain. That is your amygdala that's working. And your hippocampus is not controlling your amygdalas. So you need to tap into the right hemisphere of the brain. You have to tell yourself, I have to be calm. I have to be tolerable. Why should I get rage? Why should I get infuriated? Infuriation would get me nowhere. So I don't want to be difficult. I don't want to create difficult situations. So the simple solution is stay calm. Or if somebody is talking nonsense that you cannot tolerate it, just anapanasati, in and out breath. Don't snore though. Otherwise, people will say that you are sleeping. So just anapanasati. Stay calm. Take a look at your breath and also analyze the situation. If you think that that person is talking nonsense, then you think to yourself, that nonsense because I attach my internal commentary on his talk. I attach to that thought. I create an emotion attached to that thought. To that sound. The sound itself is not guilty. It's a sound. It's a frequency. But I attach my emotion to it. I dislike it. I hate it. Why do you want to add emotions on something you don't like already? Release it. Release your tension. Take a deep breath. Allow it to go. Let go. Let whatever comes in go out. Letting go is a philosophy. It's a very high sounding, it's a philosophy that is usable. Letting go, when you're in that kind of situation, let it go. Don't attach to it. After all, it's sunyata. What is sunyata? Emptiness. Kong. What is emptiness? Emptiness does not mean now, void, nothing. It means it arises out of causality. It arises out of all the causes. When all the causes come true, then it will come true. When all the causes disintegrate, then it disappears. So why would I live in a situation that I hate it, I attach to it? Let it go. So that's my question, my answer. Attentively listening, I can't read it. Radio word by word, concentration meditation. You mean listening to the radio word by word? So you are attaching to the sound of a human and you think that you are concentrating? No. You are giving your attention to some frequencies. You are not having concentration meditation. When you are doing the samatha, you're actually focused on yourself, not external. Not externally. You're focusing. That's the reason why the Buddha introduced us not a flame of candle, not a pool of water. It's the breath that is the most akin to you, the closest to you, the most vital to you. What's a life? The life is a maintenance of the in and out breath. That's your vitality. That's the most important. So don't attach on outside words and comment on it and bias on it. How can we choose which sutra that we are chanting every day? I do Heart Sutra a few times daily, which is will improve. Thank you. Do you just chant all the time? Doesn't matter with which sutra. It does not which sutra you chant. It's not the material. It's the mind. Even if the sutra, long or short, is your mind, your devotion, your patience, that counts. That is the consciousness that counts, not the externalities. It's what is inside of you that counts. So Heart Sutra is good enough. In the Chinese language, it's 260 words, one of the shortest sutra explaining prajna. You know what prajna is? Or prajna. You know what prajna means? Actually, when you're chanting the Heart Sutra, you're seeking prajna. And prajna, bora, what is a Sanskrit word. What is pra? Pra is the most supreme. Na is understanding. The most supreme understanding. That's prajna. What is the most supreme understanding of the universe, of life? That's in the prajna. So chanting the short sutra like the Heart Sutra is good enough. According to consciousness only theory, all of us are in fact dreaming. The lie consciousness creates the world we are seeing. Could you explain it concisely? Yes. Yes. The reason why we said we're dreaming is nothing is real. We're living as if we're dreaming. But actually, things exist. It's just like when everything is sunyata, everything is empty, but does that mean that they don't exist? They still exist. So if you use the theory, I'm living in a dream anyway, in fact it's a dream, it is a dream, but in that dream, you also have to be responsible for what you do in that dream. It's only a dream, I can do what I want. As long as I'm happy, I can satisfy all my senses. I can steal, I can lie, I can do all kinds of things to get money, reputation, wealth, because I'm in a dream anyway. You can't use that as the pretext to do bad deeds. You are in a dream, but you live through a good dream. A dream that is responsible. A dream that is giving. A dream that's not harming others. A dream that you're living in the 6 parameters. 布施、持戒、忍辱、精进、禅定、般若. The 6 parameters of the dream. In that dream, you have to live with the 6 parameters. The first one is giving, compassion, being compassionate. Giving out. The second is maintaining your precepts, your morality. The third is patience, meditation, diligence, and wisdom. In that, you live in that dream, but do a good dream. It is a dream. The reason why we call it a dream, because we're not awakened. We are confused in this shore of confusion. Buddhahood is right in that shore of enlightenment. They're not living in a dream. Only the Buddha is not dreaming. All of us are dreaming. It's just like a metaphor. It's not. It's a shore that nothing is real. We are living in a dream. It's just a metaphor telling you that you have to go from this shore of dreaming to that shore of enlightenment. The fact that you're dreaming helps you to say, okay, I want to be enlightened. You don't want to say, I am in a dream anyway. I'll dream forever. That's like an addiction of alcohol. When I'm using alcohol, I'm always in a dream of the alcohol. So get out from that dream and get into your ship of enlightenment. Get into that shore. Don't live in a dream. Get out from that dream. The Buddha awakened. We are not awakened. What is Buddhism view with regard to free will? Depends on how you define free will. Free will means you can do whatever you want. As long as you can satisfy your senses, you can do whatever you want. That's the attitude of a criminal. I can steal, I can lie, as long as I'm happy. I have a free will. Depends on how you define your free will. So I can't give you an answer if we cannot have a definition of what free will is. If free will means I can do what I want at the expense of harming others, then you create a lot of bad karma. If free will means that everybody have equality, equanimity, peacefulness, I want to give out all this equanimity, peacefulness to everybody. That's compassion. That's different. It depends on how you define your free will. It's not you can do what you want. It's something else. You have to define it. We have to define it. I always find it very difficult to stop non-stop thoughts during, I can't read meditation, but I found it sounds better with sound meditation. So I just wonder if silence and sound meditation give the same effect, that is to clean my thoughts and to make myself feel more calm and peaceful. If you find that the sound meditation is effective, go ahead with sound meditation because it gives you the same effect. But once you get into sound, maybe slowly you will get into the silent meditation. So if by chanting a mantra would be as effective as silent meditation, I think there's an alternative to it. Based on what you said about karma, the reason why we are here was because we had unfinished business from our previous life. In order to end this cycle is to let go of the conditioned thought. Does that mean we have to let go of all desire? What about the desire to be free of suffering? Why do you want to let go of desire? There's two kinds of desire. The desire to go to the Pure Land, the desire to be the Buddha is still a desire. We can't say a Buddhist has no desire. No. A desire is just an objective. It depends on what you desire. You need a desire. You desire to have good health. You desire to be successful. Why do you want to eliminate your desire? To practice the Buddhist teaching is not to eliminate any desire. You still have that desire. You desire to be the Buddha. You desire to heal your anxiety. But you use that as a means. When you have that, when that desire is achieved, even that desire you have to let go. Even the desire you have to let go. But you need that desire to lead you to the path of enlightenment. You need that ship to go to that shore. You can't say, I don't need any ship. I have no desire. I have no objective. I don't need any ship. If I attach to any ship to go to that shore of enlightenment, I attach. You need that tool. You still need Buddhism. But once you get onto the shore of enlightenment, you throw away Buddhism. You don't need Buddhism anymore. Discard Buddhism. What is Buddhism is not Buddhism. That's the reason why we call it Buddhism. You don't need Buddhism. It's just a tool. If Buddhism is not a tool, then Buddhism has a problem. It's just a tool. You need that ship. You still need that desire. No desire, no accomplishment. Next, I suffer from phobia, including heartbeat and mind blank arising from direct verbal bullying of a colleague, as well as indirect, chaotic behavior of a close relative, which vipassana contemplation out of the four I should practice. You suffer from phobia. I suggest that you practice both concentration, samatha, and vipassana. Samatha is whenever you think of your friend bullying you and creating a lot of disturbance, internal disturbances in you, you stop that thinking pattern. You don't let that bother you by concentrating in your breath, and then you use your wisdom to analyze it. What did it talk about? I don't know why he's bullying you. You find out what's the reason for bullying you? Maybe there's something you should change. If you want to change for the better, think about changing yourself first. If you're at home, if you're working with your colleagues, if you're not cooperating with your colleagues, if you're doing something that the colleagues don't like, you need to change yourself. When you want to change yourself first before you attempt to change others. I want to change you because you infuriate me. I want to change you because you give me all those anxiety. Why don't you change yourself first? Don't blame your wife. Don't blame your husband. Why don't you change yourself? After you change yourself, then your husband will change. Then your wife will change. Then your colleagues will change. It's easier also to change yourself first. Because you are master of your own mind. That's the reason why you don't need to practice samatha vipassana. You want to be your own master. Change your attitude. Don't change others' attitude first. Aim at yourself first. How important is sitting pose to meditation? It's not absolutely important. If you have a knee problem, if you have a back problem, you don't need really to cross your leg. It's just a posture. You can put both legs on the floor and then do a meditation. It has the same effect, not the outside appearance. So you don't have to cross your leg. You don't have to be in the right sitting posture. Is there any way to help memorize Dai Bei Zhao? Words sound strange to me. Thank you very much. Are you talking about the Chinese version of Dai Bei Zhao? If you, because you're right now you're in an English lecture, and I'm sure you know how those alphabets put together. I have a whole video teaching how to chant Dai Bei Zhao in Sanskrit. It's a Sanskrit pronunciation. It's free. I think it's out there, right? Is it right there now? Dai Bei Zhao free for chanting. Maybe you haven't brought it, but we have free CDs and books. Dai Bei Zhao is the mantra of compassion of the Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. I chant it in Sanskrit. It's easier to learn in Sanskrit. If you're English speaking, if you don't know Chinese, how can you chant in Chinese? But you can chant in Sanskrit. Sanskrit is like Latin. It belongs to the Latin family. So you can actually get that free. You can actually get it from Google also. I mean from YouTube. The pronunciation is all in alphabets. Namaratna, Dharaya, Namariya, Valokitesvaraya, Bodhisattvaya, Mahasattvaya, Mahagarunikaya. It's all in English pronunciations. You can get it free from our. Have we got it right there? No. So you don't have to be in a sitting position. Is there any way to help memorize Dai Bei Zhao? Yes, learn it from that CD, and also learn it from YouTube. As a matter of fact, I have a lot of lectures on YouTube. You just key in. I'm not advertising myself right now, but I'm just telling you, I have a lot of lectures on YouTube, on more than 100 of them, and you can get into YouTube and get lectures. I think I have on YouTube teaching the mantra of compassion, but you'll find out. Although I can get rid of afflictions by meditation in spare time, I am very busy in my daytime work. How can I tune to the divine energy in this busy time? Will that be more efficient and faster to attain enlightenment by being a monk? Well, you think it's easy to be a monk? Being a monk, you have to get up 4 o'clock in the morning, and then you have to go to your morning lessons, you have to go in your evening lessons, you have to do meditation, and you have to do certain hours of chores of the temple. And it depends on which teacher you follow. If you follow a teacher that is very traditional, you may learn nothing except chanting. So you have to follow the right master who, not only on the practice side, but also on the theory side. And it's not easy to find a master. So if you want to be ordained as a monk, first of all, you have to find out why you become a monk. And also find out that if you want to become a monk, are you hurting family members because they will be lonely, then they lost They will lose someone who is responsible for the family. So you have to consider a lot. You can't just say becoming a monk will be more efficient, will be better. You have a lot. There's a lot of factors you should consider before ordination. Of course, being ordained would be the fastest, the right way to do. But there are so many considerations that you have to consider. How can I tune to divine energy in the busy time? Sometimes you will have to reevaluate what you have been doing. Can you assign some of your busy time into the spiritual, I always call it spiritual odyssey of enlightenment. I'm sure if you work out a plan, you will pick out those time that you wasted. The time that you get into your WhatsApp and you're checking into the Google, I'm sure you can find some time in doing meditation. You just don't want to take the initiative in doing it. It depends on you. Your mind is not strong enough. If there is a circumstance that if you don't chant, if you don't practice, you will die tomorrow. Then you will do it. Always thinking about death, because death will come anyway. And when after death, what will you do? You will roll into the next life with your karmic energy. Who would you be? We don't know. Depends on what you have done in this life, in your previous life. You are the master of your own fate, not God. You're responsible for your own fate. Everything you do, it comes from the thought. So always cultivate good thought. If you have bad thoughts in your mind, get rid of it. Meditation is about right thought, right contemplation. So I'm sure you can find in your business schedule, sometimes you can earmark some time out and spend your time in studying, in meditation, and in chanting. It's I heard some sound of my radio program. Yeah. Anyway, it would be too late. You got to do it tomorrow, tonight. Imagine if you don't do your chanting, if you don't do your meditation, if you don't do something about it, it won't work out for the sake of your friends. Maybe you are not suffering from mental afflictions. Maybe you're okay now. But you need to help others, right? To help them out of the cocoon of anxieties, of depressions, you need to help them. When you are taking the free refuges, the first vow that you have to take is, we always take the 4 vows when we are doing the free refuges. In the Chinese language, 眾生無邊誓願度，煩惱無盡誓願斷，法門無量誓願學，佛道無上誓願成. So the first vow is to how to enlighten others, not just about yourself. If you want to enlighten others, you are at the same time enlightening yourself. So if you want to enlighten others, you've got to have tools. You've got to learn all these tools and to convey all these tools to others so that they can be helped too. So I'm sure you can find some time. It's up to you. What did you spend your time every day? You know. So all these followings are Chinese languages now, and I don't know if I should translate each one of them. I have so many. 在靜坐中有時感覺身體有片刻不存在，是否正常？應何處理？如果你靜坐嘅時候，有陣時靜坐你冇咗你個身體，呢個係好事嚟嘅，因為你係已經冇一個負累嘅存在，但係你要搞清楚喎。你話冇咗個身體，係咪你瞓咗覺啊？通常你瞓咗覺，你打瞓咗覺嘅時候，我咩都冇諗到啊！咁一醒，我冇我，我冇咗我咧，冇咗我，你係瞓咗覺啊！你並唔係無我，你係瞓咗覺，你自己唔知。通常都係咁樣嘅。廣東話：請問法師在靜坐中見很強嘅黃光是否正常？應如何處理？你係咪冇熄燈？我而家夠見到黃光咯。第一件事你要調好你嘅光。如果你嘅靜坐真係見到黃光咧，我有一個朋友佢係 accountant 嚟嘅，佢每次靜坐都聞到檀香嘅。咁有一次我同佢一齊靜坐，我特登冇點咩香，佢照樣聞到檀香。咁次次都聞到檀香嘅，咁點解係咁樣嘅咧？我嘅估計咧就係佢前世係都有靜坐嘅， 佢靜坐就點檀香，喺佢阿賴耶識裏邊咧，佢有聞到檀香嘅種子，一靜坐佢有檀香嘅種子出現，佢就聞到檀香噶啦。咁你靜坐，你以前有黃光，我唔知啊，可能你靜坐嘅時候，你就係會觀想黃光。咁凡所有相皆是虛妄，若見諸相非相，則見如來。所有相都係假噶嘛，黃光係點啫？係咪有黃光代表你開悟啊？有黃光嚟咪黃光嚟咯，冇黃光咪黃光去咯。無論山峰本不動，白雲自去來。當有雲來嘅時候，雲往，你咪由佢雲來雲往咧，自己唔動，你自性不動，你理得佢黃光啊、白雲啊，唔理外邊嘅境界，我哋只係守住我個內心。我內心而家係修止或者內心修觀，止同觀唔係有次序嚟修嘅喎，止觀相混。有陣時要修下止，你個止太強，要修下觀；觀太強，要修下止。你要止觀相混嘅，仲有好多嘢要講嘅，真係講唔晒咁多。你修止修到深入嘅地步咧，你可能有禪病嘅，你有問題嘅存在。你要識得有老師點解決你嘅問題。但係再當你喺個禪嘅個門面度徘徊嘅咧，都唔使講咁多啦，仲使得講咁多禪嘅問題咧？咁而且你仲有，當你係守住個單呼吸嘅時候咧，唔好緊守。你一緊守就有問題。無論你守丹田或者你守你個鼻息，你一緊守一定出問題。咩叫緊守啊？我唔放過我丹田，我一定要唔俾我妄想走，我一定要咁啊，叫做緊守。緊守一定出問題嘅。你一定要似守非守，若有若無，若隱若現。佢走咗，有得佢走咗，又帶翻嚟，即係咩咧？好合科學原則嘅喎。你仲喺你嘅修行裏邊再加多唔中意嘅嘢、憎恨嘅嘢、唔喜歡嘅嘢，咁你咪頭上加降。你本來就要去除嗰啲妄想，結果你增加你嘅親恨，你要增加你嘅唔中意，咁你點修行啊？所以你要放鬆。你有問題嘅仲要放鬆。Be compassionate to yourself. I can't do every translation. It's going to be 6 o'clock. Now I'm already 15 minutes over. But anyway, next, 對相信卡瑪在他人身上而不在自己身上的人，如何用佛法對治呢？如果卡瑪在他人身上，關你咩事啊？卡瑪在他人身上啫嘛，關你咩事啊？你可以救佢 ，OK， 即係佢個卡瑪令到佢好窮啊，佢個卡瑪令到佢要病啊，你要以菩薩嘅精神救佢係可以嘅。咁如何用佛法對治？如果嗱佢有卡瑪，你點樣佛法對治咧？你要研究嗰個情況。譬如話譬如你個女好叛逆，你冇法子可以醫治得佢。你冇法子對付呢樣嘢，咁你又諗啦，因為你嘅業咧有現世嘅業同埋宿世嘅業噶嘛，咁嗰啲宿世嘅業你應該點樣去處理咧？現世你已經同佢解釋咗啦，教佢好多樣嘢啦，宿世嘅業應該點處理咧？3個方法處理，呢3個方法咧佛經講嘅，第一懺悔，第二行善，第3用佛法嘅力量。我有一個修禪嘅人。佢修禪修得好好嘅，修禪一路修得好好，忽然間有收到個禪咧，一精進落嚟嘅時候咧，佢有禪病啦，佢唔可以繼續啦，頭又痛啊，總之係唔繼續得到啦。咁其實點解咧？有冤親債主啊，有以前嘅佢對唔住嘅人咧，跟到呢一世啊。咁有一次咧，佢喺度靜坐嘅時候，忽然間佢就拎起隻手寫字：我係你個仔，你以前賣咗我。我要討債，直情係咁喎。咁點解以前你要賣呢個仔啊？因為我哋喺中國裏邊咧，啲農村咧有多啲仔女出嚟，佢係賣咗佢嘅。咁如果你有3個仔2個女，我賣咁個仔 OK 啦。咁我賣咗個第3仔啦，或者賣咗個女，佢賣咗個第3仔，個第3仔就賣咗啦。賣咗第3仔個第3仔，點解你唔賣阿哥？你要賣我？我咁愛阿父親，你點解要賣咗我？怨氣好大，怨氣好大咧，結果賣咗俾人哋咧，又受到人嘅虐待，結果死咗。死咗嘅時候，佢唔憤氣啊！我點解要賣我啊？結果 跟住個老豆去世咗，咪又投胎第二世咯。佢世世都跟住佢，唔走，可以跟你幾百世嘅，你知唔知啊？因為點解咧？因為佢嘅下意識嘅憎恨咧，已經入咗佢，已經附喺你嘅身體樹。佢即係好似水懺裏邊鴛鴦殺樵錯，500世跟住佢，世世都當和尚有戒律，入唔到佢身體。一到咗佢成為國師，佢嗰個我慢心強嘅時候咧，入咗佢個膝頭，成為個人面瘡。咁呢個而家呢個故事咧，就係呢個人賣咗佢，結果跟住佢。佢當佢坐禪嘅時候好成功嘅時候，佢就要阻止佢啦。咁結果點解我哋話懺悔咧？第一懺悔咧就係我知道我對你唔住，我懺悔，我以前唔應該賣咗你嘅，我係好懺悔。咁佢嘅心已經定咗啲，你懺悔啊嘛。第二件事懺悔都唔夠喎，因為點解啊？你賣咗我咁大，我咁慘，咁你唯有做好多善事彌補俾佢。你呢個彌補俾佢咧，正係佢接受好多，因為佢仲係迷噶嘛。嗰個冤親債主咧，佢唔係個冤親債主，唔係開悟嘅人啊嘛，所以佢要有享受嘅，佢有物質嘅享受嘅，佢都會快樂嘅，佢唔會追求啲好高級嘅嘢嘛，仍然係追求物質咁啊。咁你咪要喺行善嗰方面補給俾佢咯。最後最重要一個就係點啊？要佛法。你修學佛法就係佢嘅修學緊佛法，你嘅感覺就係佢嘅感覺。你不斷修學佛法嘅時候咧，佢就仍然受到佛法嘅熏陶，佢自然會放下，佢自然唔會執着，佢自然你嘅嗰個智慧越嚟越高，佢就知道我係空嘅，無常苦空，我唔應該跟住你。我係而家咧，你既然補給咗俾我啦，我跟住你，我永遠都唔得到超升。咁佢仲用菩薩嘅力量，慢慢呢件事咪解決咯。所以你要3樣嘢，缺一不可，一定要懺悔，一定要行善。因為你懺悔嘅時候咧，亦代表亦同佢一齊。總之你諗咩佢就諗咩嘢噶啦。佢亦都可以用第三者嚟追你債嘅。即係如果你個女點解佢用叛逆啊？佢就係你嘅債主，佢就係用呢個人就係，或者佢可以用呢個人影響你嘅。咁你修學佛法嘅，所以你必須要修學佛法啊！你修學佛法嘅時候，你一開通嘅時候，佢都開通。你諗咩佢就諗咩嘢噶啦。佢同時個思想係一樣嘅。你唯有呢3個方法。咁你話用佛法去對治懺悔行善佛法，咁佛法咁廣大，咁你咪法門無量誓願學咯。你估求其咁你念一個咒就得啊？念3分鐘就得啊？但係你唔好 give up，你不斷咁做，始終一日守得雲開見月明，有一日佢就會離你而去噶啦。有一日呢件事就解決噶啦。但係你要做得勤力，你一路咁做落去，一定會有效果，一定有。冇話冇因果噶嘛。你種咗呢個因，你種咗一樣惡因，你而家慢慢可以慢慢去補給補償。點解我哋有咁多逆境啊？就係呢啲冤親債主跟住你啊，有啲墮胎嘅仲有問題啊。佢屋企有3個女，有一個情況之下，咁嗰啲親友咁多年來只係知道佢有2個女嘅啫嘛。有一日有一個睇到佢話：咁你另外第3女啦？我邊有第3女啊？唔係喎，我見過3個女仔喺度嘅喎，我以為你有3個女。其實佢一路成長嘅，嗰個係佢墮胎。話呢啲嘢會唔會古怪啲啊？聽咗上嚟，你哋唔係信佛嗰啲人聽到你唔會信嘅喎。呢啲慢慢講啦，唔好講咁多啦。呢啲而人間一切都是虛假假相，我們該為什麼努力？努力學習是一種執着嗎？喂，人間係虛假假相，你哋有呢個虛假咩都可以做啊！人間個假相係佢個現實嘅假相，就係因為你喺個假相裏邊活，所以你呢個假相就係因為你個業力帶嚟呢個器世間嘅假相。所謂假相就係咧，佢有生住異滅，成住壞空。人間既然係世界有生有春夏秋冬，佢不斷咁變異，人有生老病死，咁呢個就係假相啦。有呢個假相，正正因為呢個假相，你要超越呢個假相，唔喺呢個假相你嘅活，你唔喺個 dream， 你唔喺個夢裏邊活，你要超越呢個假相。你要超越個假相，咪就要學佛咯。你就係要超越呢個虛妄假相啊嘛！我哋為什麼要努力？我哋努力就係要超越呢個假相。呢個假相正係你追尋物質、貪嗔痴、殺盜淫妄呢啲假相，你活喺裏邊啊！你一日都係求 財色名食睡都係假相。你活喺財色名食睡裏邊，你就話呢個假相啦。既然係假相啦，咁我唔緊要啦，我永遠活喺財色名食睡啦咁啊，永遠得到唔到超升。呢個假相就係你求財求名求色求食求睡貪嗔痴殺盜聞嘅假相。呢個假相你活喺裏邊，你講嗰度好 comfortable。You are living in a comfort zone that you are enjoying all this materiality, but actually those things are pulling you down. Those are the things that increase your bad karma. 如果你話學佛嘅一種執着，即係如果你嗰啲時常都喺監獄裏邊嘅犯人，從未見過自由嘅可愛嘅，咁佢話我活喺呢度，咁如果我要自由，我咪執着。佢活喺呢個監獄裏邊咧，就係冇自由啊嘛。咁我已經習慣呢個自由啦。你而家叫我逃出生天自由啊？咁嗰啲係咪假相嚟㗎？呢係咪一個執着啊？即係井底裏邊嘅青蛙，佢見到個天空係一個圓嘅天空啫。上邊有一個開完嘅人話：呢個天空唔止咁大㗎，唔止呢個圓圈就好大㗎。你上嚟啦咁，佢唔知啊嘛，佢永遠都唔知道佢可以從呢個三界裏邊跳出去啊嘛。佢永遠認為呢個假相，佢喺呢個假相裏邊感覺到好舒適啊嘛。咁而一切逃出呢個假相都係一種執着啊！即係罪犯永遠喺個牢獄裏邊，佢要逃出生天，你認為係咪一種執着？梗係唔係啦！佢要自由可貴啊嘛！你有自由你唔知嘛？佢冇啊！佢唔知道要可以自由噶，所以呢個唔係假相嚟嘅。如果只係心中念咒而冇念出聲，是否仍然有效力咧？最好 vocalization 咧，最好念出聲。念出聲比較，因為點解念出聲仲可以 remind 你繼續啊嘛？有陣時如果你 whispering 咧，如果外邊嘅 disturbance 多咧，你念唔到嘅。你念出聲嘅方法咧，仲係 replace 咗出邊嘅 disturbance， 所以我要念出聲，而且你可以聽翻。咁如果你念唔出聲嘅時候，如果有 disturbance 嘅時候，咁你咪忘記咗你個念咒咯。而且仲有一樣嘢，如果你念出聲咧，仲有好多其他嘅眾生都會聽到嘅。咁點解唔可以念出聲啊？除非你唔夠中氣啦，咁啊冇得講啦。你唔夠中氣點念得出聲咧？誦經是否用心怎效果？是誦經是否用心怎樣效果也是一樣。親人在醫院有心理問題，在修密中有點牛角尖，怎樣幫他呢？親人在醫院有心理問題，咁你學咗今次，你咪教佢點樣放下咯。呢個問題咧就要牽涉到要有好多樣嘢講噶啦。你有陣時親人喺醫院裏邊咧，你要解釋俾佢聽無常苦空。有好多病嘅人咧，佢只係執着一樣嘢，佢就走唔到噶啦。即係可能有一個人咧，佢執着咗我間屋仲未寫俾邊個仔，或者我個 safety deposit box 裏邊咧，仲有啲首飾喺度，我仲未搞掂，我條 key 啊，我冇俾我女，我而家咩聲都出唔到啦，我條鎖匙仲未交俾我女，而家我啲嘢咪損失晒？咁佢就係呢個咁嘅妄念咧，佢就永遠都係人永遠將呢個妄念走上去都覺得佢就走唔到嘅。佢唔願意走嘅，因為佢都未交代清楚佢啲首飾啊嘛。佢為咗呢啲首飾可以牽半年嘅喎，咁你咪要解釋俾佢聽咯。你嗰啲首飾唔好咁緊張，一切都係空嘅。就算你啲首飾俾咗啲女咧，你啲女都可能會花咗嘅啫。你唔好為呢啲首飾堅持住唔肯走，即係你有好多要無常苦空無我嘅嘢要解釋俾佢聽嘅咯。即係呢啲，我有幾次咧，我真係好夠運。點解好夠運咧？有3-4個居士咧，咁佢好多3-4個咁嘅 cases 㗎啦，喺醫院去唔到，一直話咁吸住空氣去唔到，咁我即係呢啲係，亦都有啲佢去唔到2-3個月啦。我啲行運醫生執病尾，我話哇，你叫我去同你嗰啲親戚朋友傾下，未必得㗎喎，我冇乜效力㗎，又冇咩神通。但係我話喂，不如試下啦，即係或者佢已經去到個病最撚尾咧，咁我咪夠運咯，咁啊我係可以做到啦。咁通常我都喺病人裏邊咧，同佢講佛法，同佢講無常苦空嘅道理。你要放下，你唔好再執着嗰啲嘢啦。任何裏邊任何你有執着所有嘅嘢咧，都係要解釋俾佢聽。咁通常解釋俾佢聽咧，佢真係會聽到嘅喎，聽到佢就放下，佢就走㗎啦。好多時係咁㗎，其實你都可以做㗎。唔使一定法師嘅，你都可以做嘅。上次個中文講座時說，修止時可以持名念佛，吸念安毗，呼念羅佛係可以嘅。 你嘅所緣境就唔係你嘅 Anapanasati 啦，係阿彌陀佛，阿彌陀佛成你嘅所緣境。你咁就係叫持名念佛。念佛有好多種嘅，有觀想念佛、觀像念佛、持名念佛。持名念佛比較容易，蓮池大師、堪山大師、弘一大師嗰啲讚，印光大師全部贊成人哋唔好觀想啦，好難嘅。你觀西方極樂世界嘅依正二部莊嚴比較難，或者念十六觀亦都難，不如就直情持名，淨係持個名念佛已經有效果啦。你睇下印光法師嘅文鈔，全部係持名念佛，唔需要觀想念佛，實相念佛就更加難啦。持名念佛，一句阿彌陀佛念到底，以阿彌陀佛做你嘅所緣境，入阿彌出陀佛就已經夠啦。請問出聲念還是默語念呢？咁最好出聲啦。而在地鐵念佛有效，有冇效呢？一樣有效，地鐵係有效嘅。坐禪時注意妄念太多，亦會有沉入睡，但為何只覺得黑暗嘅環境中而沒有任何特別感受感覺呢？即係你冇入睡，但係只係黑暗嘅環境中冇有任何特別感受或感覺。即係你受冇特別嘅感受同感覺，就係唔應該有感受啊嘛。唔應該有苦樂，不苦不樂啊嘛！你冇感受係一件好事嚟㗎。而家5點半啦，仲有幾條啫。請問生老病死是否在情緒上嘅問題呢？生老病死10分鐘交場 ，OK。生老病死咧係咪情緒嘅問題呢？生老病死係現實嘅問題，但係呢個現實問題會牽涉到情緒問題。因為你怕死、怕病、怕老，喺呢啲現實嘅問題咧，就係滋生出好多其他嘅情緒問題啦。所以亦都同情緒問題有關。請問如何對治昏沉掉舉、精神無法集中、強迫症、拖延症？哇！咁多症，你估我係醫生啊？懈怠症、個頭頸硬症，咁你要睇醫生啦。你頭骨硬啊，唔舒服啊，咁你估2下手勢就搞掂啦？呢啲要完全要問醫生㗎，呢啲唔關我事啊！呢啲給寵物聽念佛機有好處嗎？有好處嘅，寵物都會識聽念佛嘅。點解情緒病很多時是半夜發作呢？是否有所謂冤親債主作怪呢？咁樣應付呢？半夜發作有好多原因嘅，亦都可能冤親債主，亦都係呢。當半夜發作嘅時候，你更加對呢個心識。你嘅心識更加喺寧靜嘅時候咧，就勾畫咗更多情緒出嚟。因為你平時日頭裏邊咧有好多衣食住行嘅嘢，你要注意，你要集中。一到靜嘅時候咧，一靜嘅時候你就勾畫出以前嘅悲哀、過往嘅歡樂、將來嘅憂鬱，你完全個情緒就擺喺個台面度去諗佢。因為個環境係靜啊嘛，咁你將你嘅情緒勾曬出嚟，擺喺個台面咯。即係人係咁嘅，佢會將過去嘅嘢擺上個台面再諗，將來嘅嘢又擺喺台面再諗，越諗就越氣，越諗就越有情緒。所以你必須要誦《金剛經》裏面嗰句説話：過去心不可得，現在心不可得，未來心不可得，三心了不可得。既然過去已經過去啦，你拎過去嘅出嚟再諗佢，有冇改到過去嘅嘢啊？改唔到噶嘛！你將過去嘅嘢，你過去嗰啲痛苦，再攞翻過去某人對你唔住，就攞翻出嚟再諗佢，於事無補。所以將過去嘅嘢撇掉啦。將來仲未到，將來嘅嘢未到，將來會生老病死，你使乜驚咧？都未到啊嘛！未到嘅時候，你再諗佢，即係話將將來嘅問題帶翻現在喺個台度咧，又去諗佢。哇！咁你自己揾你自己笨。將過去、現未來嘅都擺上去個台度，慢慢去諗佢，慢慢去 agonize， 感覺到煩惱，冇揾佢笨。咁現在咧，活在當下，係咪應該活在當下？當下都不可得，邊有當下㗎？當下馬上成為過去啦嘛！呢一秒鐘我同你講過，即刻就 skip 過去啦，冇當下㗎，所以現在心都不可得。當下係咩？因緣所生法。哦，係啦。Oh, English. Okay, we have a temporary ordination and the 8 precepts retreat in Vancouver in our temple. So you are welcome to join us. And year after year, for 2 years already, we usually have a team of 60 people. People from Hong Kong, they would travel, they would fly all the way to Vancouver to have a 10 days retreat where they do the ordination. they tonsure, they shave everything. In other words, they live like a monk or a nun for 10 days to try it out. So if you want to try it out in our temple, it's a relatively large temple, and you want to try it out, how to meditate, how to chant, and want to live a life of monk or nun, you're welcome to join us. Register online. And we have a few days in the temple, which is in Vancouver. We also have a few days in a remote island, Bowen Island. Oh, that's a paradise. We are meditating in nature. We are walking trail in nature. So we return to nature. So we have half of the time on an island where we do meditation and retreat, and half of the time in the temple going through the rituals of meditation, of taking a meal and doing all these rituals, and you are free to join. How much? Free. Well, as long as you pay for your own fare. I mean, we don't talk about, you just pay for your traveling tickets, and you're welcome to join. And we try to be bilingual, Chinese and English. So we will talk about all the Vinaya, the precepts, the morality. We talk about Sunyata. We talk about the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, the 12 dependent originations. We talk about Buddhism, about jhana, dhyana, about samatha, vipassana. Tried it out, so I don't know. I'm already overrun. So thank you very much for spending the time with us, with me, and.